and Talk Matters 2017. Did you make any resolutions concerning your personal finances last January? If so, how did you do? Did you attain your financial goals? Or was this year a total financial washout for you? While the days leading up to New Year's Eve are often spent reflecting on the year gone by, the following days should be spent reflecting on the new year, reviewing your financial scorecard for the past year, and then look for ways to improve in 2017. Well, it's time to set some serious goals. What are those goals that will help you make lasting changes and take control of your finances? Whether you choose to do just a few of them or you already tackle all of them, you can start making changes. Well, to tell us about those changes, we have with us a gentleman I earlier introduced, and that is Waithaka Gatumia, who is the General Manager at Centonomy. Happy New Year. Thank you for making time.
Happy New Year. Thank you for having me.
Well, today we're having an interesting conversation and we're asking our viewers what areas would they like to improve on in their personal spending habits as we start off the new year. Let's just pick it up from there.
I think it's a brilliant question to be asking at this time, and it's important for everybody because if you look even at companies now, as you were reporting earlier on, companies are beginning to think what's happening in 2017 that we can begin to take advantage of, and as an individual, you can make those same choices through this year. And this is a very good time to have those conversations. Maybe some of the areas that you would want to discuss are the issues of debt. How do I overcome the debt that I'm in, and how do I begin to use debt positively for my own finances?
Sure.
I think you mentioned it earlier as well, the issue of spending. I think spending is an area that we are very loose with. And when there's an area that's loose in your life, you may find yourself in a hole very quickly because there's no control. And so as you said, maybe this is the time to begin to think, what is important to me? What am I going to begin to spend my money on and be purposeful about it?
Interesting. So, Waithaka, let's just pick it up from now. We've started the new year. People are still relooking back, saying, I overspent over Christmas, New Year. I might go to the circle for a soft loan or call a friend. How do you avoid being in such a rut?
Well, it's interesting that we are saying this after the fact. I think the best place to avoid it is before the fact. So if you had planned your spending over the December period, then you would be in a better place of control. But I think it's not all is lost. I think it's important at this time to begin to think, what is really important to me? Because the danger is that, yes, you will go take that loan. Yes, you'll go take that little bit of credit at this point, but not for the important things. You will be surprised somebody is taking credit for, let's say, a car or something like that really is not building themselves, versus the things that are purposeful about growing their wealth, buying assets.
All right.
And so if you're change your mindset and begin to think what it is that you're taking credit for. Because credit in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's not. In fact, that's how most people are able to grow beyond their current situation. And so be purposeful about the credit that you take. Is it purchasing an asset or is it a liability that you're purchasing? Those are the things that you need to think about.
Let's go to a scenario. Someone is earning, let's say, 200,000 shillings and minus the taxes. Let's say you're getting close to 170. Help us walk this person through on how can they improve on their personal budgeting and avoid being in a scenario where you have your money. Are you working for your money or is your money working for you?
That's a perfect way of putting it. Thank you so much for you've answered the question part of the way. Is your money working for you or are you working for your money? And one of the best ways to be clear about this fact is to set your goals early. Because one of the issues is that we don't actually have goals. We think that at some point we will retire, at some point we would like to live in a certain house, at some point we'd like to drive a certain car. That's not a goal. In fact, I'm liking the graphics that you have all around us, because a goal is set as far as time is concerned and as far as cost is concerned. So if you know, I would like to drive a car of a certain type by this period by this date, and it's going to cost me this amount, then you can work backwards and begin to plan towards that goal. So when you receive your salary, what we like to say at Centonomy is pay yourself first. your savings, and your investments go out first. You see, that way, then you're not going to be worried at the end of the whole season, at the end of your salaries, when you're saying, oh, okay, where am I going to save? What am I actually going to save? You've actually done that before. So when you prioritize your spending, then you're able to save and achieve the goals that you want. And you see, it's all about the goals that you want. It's the lifestyle that you want to live. And so plan in advance. Make sure you spend on the things that matter to you.
Interesting. So how do we set these goals that are achievable, that are not too overbearing on us? Because there's that goal where you say, I want to buy a piece of land, perhaps. I want to go back for a master's course, or I want to get out of being a tenant. You know, how do we structure these goals and still keeping in mind that person we shared their salary? How do you navigate through this?
You see, one of the things that we have in our generation, and one of the things we're really fighting with at this moment, is the issue of speed. Because everyone wants it now. It is, you know, I want to achieve this now. No, when you place time into the equation, all things are actually possible. And in fact, some of the greatest investors around the world, in fact, I was watching a video of Warren Buffett, who's one of the wealthiest people in the world. And he just says, he speaks about it over and over, and especially to young people, and says, don't worry, you have the time to get there. Don't be in a rush to cut corners as well, because that's another thing that you do. The issue of corruption in this nation is also because people are cutting corners to try and achieve those goals that they have. But don't do that. You have the time. If you plan, if you take the moment to be able to plan and get your finances in order, you can achieve all the goals that you have, even those ones that seem extremely lofty. In the time that you, if you're serious about setting a time for that goal to achieve.
And now we are in this new year. You've set your goals. There's setting your resolutions. How do you ensure you implement them to the latter?
I wish there was a form of daily support that you could be in everybody's home and say, no, don't spend on this, no, don't spend on this. I like the word that you used, it is resolutions. And I think one of the other words that comes to mind when you say that is the word resolve. Because when you have resolved to do a certain thing, it is the daily discipline that's going to get you there. And I told you one of the tips is spend on the things that matter first. If it is your children's education, pay school fees. If it is your housing, pay your rent first. All the things that matter. If it is your investments, put them aside, and your savings first. And then whatever is left, you enjoy yourself with. Because life is also to enjoy yourself. So that's, I think, the best way. One of the tools that we highlight is spend on the things that matter to you first. Because we end up doing savings at the end. Usually it's after you have done all the things that you enjoy, then you look at your account and say, okay, what's left over? What do I now save? The best investors, the best savers, the wealthiest people in the world literally pay themselves first. Because the government takes their 30% or whatever it is percentage in terms of tax. Why don't you pay yourself next? And then after you've done that, now enjoy yourself and go spend in places like Deacons. You can hear Deacons need some more customers. We need them to go and do that.
Interesting. And just briefly as we wrap it up, Waithaka, there was a poll that showed that a majority of Kenyans would like to start a business in 2017. What do you think informs this? And of course, you've seen the macroeconomic environment hasn't been so conducive for startups. How do people ensure that as much as you want to start your business, you don't end up burning your fingers?
I think have the right information. And one of the things that when you go into a business, you need to know what it is that you're going to get into, what the atmosphere is, and get the right information. For instance, at Centonomy, we actually have a class on entrepreneurship. There are many various places you can go and get taught about entrepreneurship, starting a business. Get the right information, because wherever there are problems, that means those are opportunities for a business to actually come in and solve them. So it's a ripe atmosphere. And I don't know if you mind, at the moment, Centonomy is actually having an open day on the 21st of January, where we're going to be discussing all these factors, your personal finance. We're also going to be on the 28th of January going to be discussing entrepreneurship. And we'd love to have you there to be able to discuss these issues, because you see, a 5-minute talk like this really cannot get you to the place that you need to have. And a deeper insight would be very useful for anyone getting into the business world. There are many opportunities right now.
Many thanks, Waithaka Gatumia, who is the General Manager for Centonomy, just sharing with us some of the tips you need to consider as you start off the new year. bearing in mind that majority of Kenyans have been complaining really about how they are able to perhaps go for a holiday? How can you budget differently this year? And the solid message is that you need to know your priorities when it comes to spending. Let's turn our attention now to further afield